What's up, YouTube? I'm Mike, and today I'm back talking about Masteron and how it giveth and then taketh the fuck away all that it giveth. I made a video not too long ago singing the praises of this compound. I've sung the praises of this compound a number of times because of the fact that it is very good at doing what it's designed to, well, not what it's designed to do, but what bodybuilders use it for. It gives you crazy libido. It gives you a crazy, sick-looking physique. It's makes you dry and vascular, and it just makes you look fucking great, and it makes you feel even better, which is why I included it in my cycle. If you've been following this channel for a little while, you know that I was running Masteron at 300 milligrams, Masteron E at 300 milligrams per week, with Trenbolone E at 100 milligrams per week, and Testosterone E at 500 milligrams a week. Along with that dose of testosterone, I was running 3 milligrams a week of Arimidex, and I ran this for 8+ weeks, and everything was fucking amazing. I was loving all the effects, and that's why I made the video saying that Tren, Masteron, and testosterone were, you know, a match made in heaven. And then I went and decided to try to control my cholesterol levels, so I lowered my testosterone dose down to 200 and my Arimidex dose down to 1.5, and somewhere within the next 4 weeks or so, I got at least all of the symptoms of having crashed my estrogen. I totally lost interest in sex. I totally lost interest in girls, my wife, everything. You can go back, if you've been following the channel, you know what I've been going through. So when that happened, obviously it caused catastrophic problems in my marriage, and so I set out to rapidly raise my estrogen level back into the normal range. So I increased my testosterone to 300 milligrams per week, and I stopped taking an AI completely, which was what was recommended to me by countless people in the audience and reading Reddit. Tons and tons of people were like, you don't need an AI if you're running Masteron. And so I listened to all of you fucking idiots that don't know what you're talking about. And what happened to me, because I listened to a bunch of fucking idiots that don't know what they're talking about, is my estrogen levels spiked over the course of the last 2 weeks or so back into the fucking stratosphere, and led to me having full-blown pregnancy side effects again. As I've made multiple videos in the past, when my estrogen gets very, very high, it causes me to start vomiting. I can't eat. It's basically like basically like morning sickness that women get when they're pregnant. I made an entire video titled how estrogen turned me into a pregnant woman. So the thing that is so mind-blowing about the Masteron is that those of you who have been saying that it masks the effects of estrogen are correct. It seems to definitively mask the effects of estrogen, especially in the breast tissue, because while I have clearly enough estrogen floating around my system to be causing me to vomit constantly, well, actually I'm not technically vomiting because I have ondansetron on hand, and so when the vomiting started, I was able to shut it down with relatively large doses of Masteron. I'm taking, ondansetron. So I'm taking 8 milligrams of ondansetron in the morning, and then I'm having to take another 8 milligrams of ondansetron about 10 hours later to keep the vomiting at bay. So Masteron is really a sneaky little fucking compound, because normally there's no chance that I would have allowed my estrogen to get this high, because I would have had gyno and just tons of other symptoms well before the vomiting started. But because the Masteron was blocking the effect of the estrogen in my nipple region, I didn't know I didn't know that I was getting high E2. So I suspected it was getting high about a week ago, because I was having the rapid weight gains, all the water retention, and then I started getting some erectile problems that are very consistent with having high estrogen. So about a week ago, I decided I don't trust everything everybody's telling me. Clearly I'm having symptoms of high estrogen, despite the fact that my nipples are not swollen. Something is going on, so I took 0.5 milligram of Arimidex. And the very next day, my libido started coming back into the normal range. But 2 days later, the vomiting started. And so clearly the half of a milligram of Arimidex helped, but it was not enough to control the total amount of estrogens that are clearly floating around in my bloodstream. I have since added back in another milligram of Arimidex, and I have stopped the Masteron. I do not know what I'm going to do at this point. I was up half the night trying to decide whether to just go back to my known variables, which is 500 milligrams of test. I know I can take 3 milligrams of Arimidex and be in the sweet spot. 200 milligrams of test takes 1.5 milligrams of Arimidex to be in the sweet spot. I really want to run Masteron because I love what it does for me psychologically, and but the misery that I've gone through with first crashing my estrogen and now having estrogen so high that I'm vomiting constantly and can't get any calories down is equally catastrophic. So I went in the course of 2 days. Now I know that this is just from not eating at all. I literally have not eaten. The only calories that I've had in the last 48 hours have been 1 Dr. Pepper, 1 piece of butter pound cake, 2 pieces of butter pound cake, and like half of a Monster. That is effectively the sum total of my I guess I had some chips and queso with my wife in bed. I have probably had less than 1,000 calories in the last almost 48 hours. So my weight has dropped from 213.5 pounds to 208 pounds. Now again, that's just food weight. It's not real weight. It's probably food and some water. But honestly, you can see just from my lack of any kind of energy level in the production of this video, I feel fucking terrible. I'm only making this honestly to have put out some kind of content today. I should be in fucking bed. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to make this right. So the thing that, you know, what I'm going to do first and foremost is get my estrogen down. As much as I don't want to crash my estrogen again and cause distance between my wife and I, it's like a fucking catch-22. Like, you know, if I crash my estrogen, my relationship with my wife is miserable. If I let it get too high and I'm vomiting, it's even worse for me personally. So I don't know what the lesser of the fucking evils is. And considering the fact that I just can't control how much of the Masteron does what, the only thing I can think to do at this point, if I'm going to continue running this compound, is that I've got to go back to known entities. So if I go back to 500 milligrams of Test E, 300 milligrams of Masteron E, you know, I could drop my trend from 300 back down to 100. That's the cycle that I ran pretty much the entire time we were on vacation with no problems at all. So I've considered dropping the Masteron and putting in Proviron, but I'm also reading that Proviron has a similar anti-estrogen / estrogen receptor blocking capacity, and so I don't know if that's going to put me right back to square one. I really don't fucking know what to do at this point. This right here, guys, is why there's so many compounds I do not fuck with. Everybody's always like, have you ever run EQ? What do you No, fuck EQ. EQ fucks with your estrogen. I'm not running EQ. I'm about to have to just pull the plug on any fucking androgen that has any estrogenic effects that I have not already accounted for. So, you know, like I said, that's why every one of my blasts just has 500 milligrams of test in it, because I don't have to worry about my estrogen. I can run test and trend and not worry about estrogen. You know, that's about it though. You know, Masteron affects my estrogen. Primobolan's going to affect my estrogen. Everything affects estrogen, and it's just a total fucking disaster for me. And honestly, it's making me want to just fucking quit the game. Like, you know, I reached my goal of 210. I never thought I would get that big. I'm not terribly motivated to get any bigger. The side effects just from the weight alone, how heavily I breathe, the amount of calories required to stay there, the fact that I'm not fucking competing. This is why I was in that stagnant state for basically a year and a half, is because I just got tired of having to constantly go get blood work and deal with all the side effects of different compounds that just constantly fuck with my estrogen levels. You know, some of you guys seem to be immune to this shit, and you just never have any of these problems. And for me, it's just a perpetual fucking nightmare. It's really disappointing because there's so many good compounds out there, and I just cannot run them. Maybe you know, the hidden message here is that, you know, if I was only running 16-week cycles, most of this wouldn't be a problem, because I would never really be on long enough for anything to really cause a problem. But when you're trying to run something effectively year-round, you know, eventually, you know, even if you think the Masteron dose that you have, you know, if it's keeping everything together at the 16-week mark, but you're technically on, you know, you're continuing to decline, then eventually you're going to crash it. You know, over a long enough period of time, you have to find the perfect dose to be able to run these compounds long term, or eventually something's going to go wrong. You're going to go high, you're going to go low. And at least with, you know, drugs that aromatize and then using an aromatase inhibitor, it's very easy to know what's going on, because I can just easily go get blood work and there's no receptor blocking bullshit happening. So I'm either in the range or I'm not. And these drugs that fuck with the receptor make it impossible to know what, you know, the only thing you can do is look at your body and see, like, am I vomiting? No. Okay, cool. Then I'm not too high. Do I hate my wife and don't want to have sex with her? No. Cool. Then I'm not too low. But the problem is that's a really shitty way of fucking living, and it's a really shitty way of doing science, where basically you have to just tinker with your dose until total catastrophe strikes, and then live in misery for 3 to 5 days, however long it takes to try to push it back into the normal range. And it's just, I don't know, man. Like I said, I feel like shit today. I haven't eaten anything in 2 days. I don't really have any energy or any motivation to be making this video, and I just feel fucking honestly more than a little defeated with this fucking set of compounds. So there you have it. Bitch fest over. Hopefully I will get my estrogen back down into a range that is not causing vomiting and is also not causing a divorce. And then maybe my mind will be clear enough after I get calories back into it to reapproach this with some kind of fucking energy that's not so fucking negative. So, as always, thank you for watching. We'll see you on the next one.